Welcome back to the shop and to the channel. We're continuing work on the power drawbar for the Bridgeport milling machine, and the next piece is this sliding shaft that I'm calling it. And this bushing will press up inside of it, this bushing that we made in the previous video. This is a pretty simple component for the most part. It does have this recess in the bottom where our bushing will press into, and then at the top of it there is a snap ring groove. Got a piece of stock in the lathe here. Got a reasonable stick out here of about 4 inches or so. I need to turn off this tapered bit on the end so we got a good flat surface. I'm going to need to turn the diameter of this down to about 750 thousandths, so I'm going to need some tail support. Start by drilling a hole with a center drill. Bring in my tailstock here with a live center, and we can start turning down the diameter. Well, I'm not super happy with the surface finish. I'm not sure if I've got a chip in this insert or not, but I'm going to take a quick measurement here just to see where I'm at, how much more I need to go, and then while I'm at it, I'm going to switch over to this DCMT tool and see if it'll give me a little bit better finish. Got a scale here and a blue Sharpie. I'm just going to mark about 4 inches here just so I know that I'm turning down enough material to make the part. Finish. Well, I'm getting close to the final diameter, so I am switching over to a TCGG insert in hopes that I can really improve the surface finish. This is going to have another part over top of it that will pivot on it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I would like it to be smooth enough that you don't feel any friction or resistance when operating this tool that I'm making. Yeah, I am much happier with the surface finish. I have slowed down the feed rate considerably just to give me the best shot at obtaining that nice, smooth machine surface. I've also reduced my depth of cut a bit here, so it's going to take at least a couple more passes before I'm at diameter. Well, I hit the dimension I was looking for. We're right at 750 thousandths. Now I'll go ahead and clean it up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite and emery paper. Well, before I pull the tailstock completely away to machine the inside of this component, I want to go ahead and machine the snap ring groove so that it's the right dimension from the bottom of this part. I've got this high-speed steel tool in here. That's going to machine this about 60 thousandths wide. It's wider than what it needs to be. But I did want to make it easy to install the groove. It's just that the dimension between the bottom of this groove and the bottom of this component is a little critical. I have some tolerance, but no more than maybe 10 thousandths. I want to make sure I get it in the right spot. I also need to make sure I get this deep enough. Otherwise, the snap ring won't fit on here right. Well, turning my attention now to the center bore of this part will glide over top of the vertical shaft that we made in the last video, but I don't actually want the ID of this part to come in contact with that shaft, so it needs to be a little more than 500 thousandths in diameter on the ID here. So I'm starting with a 1/2-inch drill bit, and we'll clean it up later with the boring bar. Well, I've got my small boring bar here in the tool post, so I need to bore this out to about 550 thousandths. It's not a critical dimension. I just want it to be larger than the vertical shaft that this goes over top of. Well, I'm not so sure how well it's coming across on camera, but there is a considerable high-pitched squeal coming from this. Of course, it's the combination of a smaller tool, a large stick out of both the part and the tool. I might try some experiments here. I don't have a follow rest, so I'm not even sure if that would even do me any good here. Well, I don't know if this is going to do any good at all, but I do have a steady rest, so I'm wondering if I can't bring this in and at least fit it near the end of this part, and maybe that'll help reduce some of those harmonics and probably the chatter marks on the inside. Well, this is about as close as I can get it to the chuck, but it's also as far away from the chuck as I can get it, because if I push it out any more toward the end, then the carriage can't reach. Well, this didn't actually help at all. It's still squealing pretty bad. In hindsight, maybe I should have cut this part off and rechucked it in the forejaw. I could have turned the compound 90 degrees, and maybe that would have given me a little bit more room with the carriage. I could have moved the steady rest out further toward the end. I don't know. I'm not sure if anything would have helped because of the tool stick out, I think, is the primary reason why this thing is singing so badly. Well, this thing really proved to be a failed experiment, so there's no reason to keep this in my way, so I'll get rid of the steady rest. I'm finished boring the length anyway. Now I just need to make the recess for the brass bushing. Well, I use my telescoping snap gauges here again to take a quick measurement to see where I'm starting from. I do have a specific target dimension in mind. That dimension needs to be slightly smaller than, by maybe a thousandth or less, than the brass bushing we made in the last video. Well, I have a dial indicator here on my bedway, so I can keep track of how deep I am making this recess. I don't want to go any deeper than the 500 thousandths thickness that bushing is. Take another quick measurement here. I think I'm really close to the final dimension. Checking this with the micrometer. Looks like I'm at 625 thousandths. However, the bushing that I made is actually 627th. I left it oversized. So I think we'll just take another thousandths off of the ID here and see how that fits. So that barely just doesn't want to go in, so I do think that will end up making a nice press fit on this bushing. So we'll stop that here and continue on with the next machining operation. Well, we'll do a quick chamfer on this end of this part before measuring it for length so that we can cut it off. The total length is not a critical dimension, but I'm going for about 3 inches. So I've got my parting tool here, but before I cut this, I remembered that there was one more thing I needed to do. So the OD of this whole part is about 750 thousandths. However, that is too big for the snap ring to go over it. So I want to machine off the diameter that's above the snap ring. Not completely, of course. I want to leave some of that groove there, but I want to bring that dimension down to maybe 680 thousandths just to give it enough room for the snap ring to get over top of it, but not too much that it won't remain captured. Okay, so now I can go back to cutting this off to length. Well, we got a quick deburr and chamfer on the inside of the top of this piece. And so we should be ready to press in that bushing. I should be able to do this by hand. Well, I've got some green Loctite here. We'll put on the outside of the bushing here. I don't need too much, just enough that it'll retain it. I'm never going to get this thing out of here again. I might be able to heat it up and press it out from the top, but I think that might be a tall order. The fit is just enough to where I can push this in by hand without needing a press. Well, that's it for this part. We are done. It slides on the shaft. There's a little bit more play in that than I expected. I think I should have made that brass bushing longer. I think that would have cured it. However, I think that once this is seated in the next part we're going to make, that problem will clear itself up. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. Having the subscribers and the likes and the comments gets YouTube's attention and helps suggest this channel to other people. So help support the channel by just giving it a like, a comment, and a subscribe. So with that, we'll say thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.